Hello and welcome to YourLocalNote.com. My name's RJ McKay. I'm solo tonight. Mike has some other obligations. He'll be joining us next week. So what we're going to do tonight is we're talking with Jordan White. He's got a new EP out. It's called 4 Songs. And we'll talk to him about the album, and we'll also talk to him about his career. And that's coming up in just a little bit. I also want to remind you that we've got our free apps. You can download and listen to our streaming 24/7. Just go to the respective stores and just type in YLN and download it for free, and you can see what we're doing with our website. You can hear the music, all the great music we have from these artists from the Philly area, and then you can see where they're playing with our events section, and you can check out past podcasts too. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do, and you can download it for free with YourLocalNote.com. All right, let's get to Jordan White. He's got a new EP out. It's called 4 Songs, and the first song we're going to listen to is called Maybe Amy on YourLocalNote.com.
You don't know me just a little from your TV. Listen to this little ditty and maybe you'll see I'm only happy at the beach when the skies are blue. When there's gray clouds, you may need to pull me through. Pull me through. Smell the inside of brand new books. We just don't care how stupid it looks. And this could be a funny story while your path crossed mine. We're jumping in quarries with a no trespassing sign. No one pays and no mind. So maybe, Amy, you could pull me over your red wine. You could call me up anytime. There's people light you on fire just to watch you burn. Ain't no rhyme or reason about it. You just gotta turn, head back down to the river you come from, where there's water around. And you could meet me in some bar where nobody goes. Oh, Amy, I don't really know. I just don't know. So maybe, Amy, you could pull me over your red wine. You could call me up anytime. Sincerity of this feeling, it's the only reason I found to cut you from the crowd when I'm down kneeling as the only diamond that shines in this town. Only one around. So maybe, Amy, you could pull me over your red wine. You could call me up anytime. Pour me, 'cause Amy, got all this time without somebody like you. Without somebody like you. Without somebody like you.
That's Maybe Amy from the EP 4 Songs. The artist is Jordan White, and he's hanging with us tonight. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Jordan, let's talk about the first song. It's called Maybe Amy. What is that song about?
Oh man, that's about the little buzz you get when you meet someone new.
Okay.
Especially when you get that feeling that you're really digging someone and they're really digging you.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called maybe, because you know that feeling where you don't really know for sure.
Right.
And probably the other person maybe feels the same way where they don't know either.
You don't
there's
know.
that weird little rift between when it when you think it's gonna happen and when it does or doesn't happen, and that's what that song's about. That little space between, kind of.
When you either find out that it's a go,
right,
or then you find out,
no.
oh, maybe, yeah, she
Right.
doesn't.
So, yep. So that's why it's called Maybe Amy.
Okay, very cool. Let's talk about your getting into the music career. When did you decide that this is what you wanted to do? Is this something you've always done, or is this something that in school it clicked? Just give us a little background on that.
It's pretty much the only thing I can do. That's the thing.
Okay.
So it comes back to feeling like I really didn't fit in with any other subject or genre or anything else. Like I'm not. I used to box. I played baseball in high school. But music, was always there, and it was always something that I could count on. Mm-hmm. And I always knew that my life would probably go in the direction of music.
Okay.
I didn't know where. I didn't know how far. Like, I didn't know it would get this far at this point.
Okay.
But I always knew that it would go in the direction of music in some form.
All right.
And yeah, I did start playing when I was like, in like second grade, like little Casio keyboard and stuff like that.
Did you take lessons?
Yeah,
like
I took piano, guitar, and I took voice sporadically. Even a few years ago, I took voice with a guy from the band named Kicks. I'm sorry, Steve Whiteman, out in Harrisburg. So I still took voice up until a few years ago, and piano and guitar sporadically. Once in a while, I'll have a lesson. Back when I was a teenager, though, I took like 3 years straight.
Sure.
So
okay. Go to then high school. You did part of the band in high school, or were you doing a band outside?
You know what? It didn't. It really didn't happen musically. I was writing and playing myself, but just by myself. It really didn't happen until I was around like 22, 23.
Okay.
And I met a guy out in Long Island that wanted to form a duo. Uh-huh. And even though I lived in Pennsylvania, at the time I lived in Nazareth, up by the Martin Guitar Factory. We still, we traveled back and forth, and that's really where it kind of started.
Uh-huh.
But I really, like as far as high school, I was always a writer. I'd find myself writing lyrics and during geometry or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I never really played out until I was like 23, and that's when I started playing open mics and stuff like that.
It's not easy getting up in front of people and playing, even if it's not your song.
Certainly not. Absolutely. I mean, I was so nervous. I'd like to play like 3 songs like an open mic night, and now I don't even think about it. It's so strange that it completely, your whole mindset completely changes.
Okay, let's talk about influences. What artists, what bands, type of music do you like to listen to, or is it a variety? Just tell us about your influence.
A big guy in the 70s and the 90s, and with this album, I kind of think it's what I tried to do, at least, was kind of fuse that singer-songwriter vibe with that 90s alternative vibe too.
Right. And 70s rock had a lot of singer-songwriters.
Right, especially, like that confessional, like Southern California.
Jackson Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect example. There's even a song I have not on this album that it's called Jackson Brown, but maybe eventually. Yeah, that's what I tried to do. I tried to take a 70s and a 90s, and I kind of mixed them. Skipped over the 80s, I think, for the most part. And then, I added try to make some newer type of sounds that that are a little bit more current today, and kind of blend them together.
80s fun music, but you're right, not the singer-songwriter that you had in the 70s and the 90s.
Right, like the only hair metal, if you could even consider hair metal, was Guns N' Roses, and that was their first album. That's the only one I really like a lot. Okay. Appetite for Destruction.
Right.
And that was when they were kind of like in this hair metal phase.
Sure.
But then it switched over to
they had a lot of problems.
Yeah, yeah. But I think of all those bands back there, what's that Warren song, like Cherry Pine?
Yes,
it's so I don't know what happened.
Well, he unfortunately died, but
did he? Oh man,
it was he died a few years ago. But you had music really became disposable, I think, in the 80s.
Right.
And the bands had to churn out the hits, and it became the formula was I think really fine-tuned, that the bands would have to follow the formula because all your fans want this type of music, and artists weren't allowed to explore like they were in the 70s. And I think there was a little, I'm trying to think for the right word, but a little rebellion in the 90s saying, we're not going to be doing this corporate stuff. We're gonna go back to simpler times. So
Right. It was in the 80s. It was kind of, I mean, even though I was a tiny kid, but it seemed like there was 4 or 5 rockin' songs and it'd be this like piano ballad
right.
for every album that came out.
Right.
And they even had those commercials. I don't remember if you remember. It was like, because all the bad boys have a soft side. That's what I would say. And they'd play like whatever ballad was out at the time, like Poison, have every rose has its thorn and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's subconsciously why I kind of skipped over that genre, although I do still listen to music from that era. I just at least for my own personal things that I create, I kind of, I don't know, skipped it, I guess. At least I think I did.
Okay. All right. And now that you're, you write songs, you write all your songs yourself?
Mostly. Once, as far as the lyrics, yes. As far as the music, depends on. Sometimes this album's a collaboration. I think like the first 3 songs are kind of. I wrote the melodies, and then people came in and put their stamps on it.
Okay.
People we played with.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. Now, this album, Jordan White, 4 songs. Is this your first?
It's the first. Yeah, it's first like official release, and it is like. There's probably going to be like some other kind of single come out soon because it's a singles market.
Right.
It seems to be.
Okay.
So we'll probably do something soon, maybe in a few months. That might just be one song, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll even call it one song. I don't know. That's real creative. Huh?
All right. Let's talk a little bit about song number 2. We'll play that next, and then we'll talk about why you called it the EP 4 songs. But let's talk about Bloodshot that we're going to play in a couple minutes. What is that song about?
That song is actually, it's about, to me, it's about the bar scene in the being a middle, late 20 aged person. It was about this, I went to bars so much, and now I play at bars a lot too, of course.
Right.
And it was about the way I saw the bar scene as the chorus is like, if that girl, that pretty girl, she just one drink away is one of the lines. and it's kind of like, what it is so many people that I would go to bars with, they'd say, oh, I'm going to go talk to that girl. I'm going to go talk to the girl. And then be like, oh, wait, just one more drink. And it's always one more, always one more, always one more. And by the time they were so supposedly go up to this girl, the girl was gone. So it just, and I wrote that song it's almost a humorous take on it, although if you listen to it, it doesn't sound humorous.
But it's so true.
Right. It's always one girl away. One drink away.
Yeah, you're just describing that, and I can picture myself in a bar looking at the girl. This is obviously before I'm married, so I think that my wife thinks that I'm still doing that. But, you're in the bar, and you're like, oh, yeah, she's hot. Okay, but I can't do it now. Let me just have that one more drink.
Yep. And it was always one more drink. And I saw it happen. I did it myself. I mean, I've saw it so many times that it actually, made its way lyrically into a song.
Right.
And bloodshot just means, like your eyes got bloodshot after you drink too much, I guess.
All right.
And, it's about, being at a bar either to meet someone or to avoid someone that's at home. It's
I like that.
So it's either one.
It's a song that I can see so many people relating to. That is great. All right, the song is called Bloodshot. We're hanging with Jordan White. It's from his EP called 4 Songs, and this is YourLocalNote.com. is Bloodshot from the EP, 4 songs, and we're hanging with Jordan White, who is the guy singing and writing it. And now, as far as the instruments, did you play all the instruments on this EP, or did you have some friends that would help you record?
I played probably about half. I had a couple of musicians. We had a few session musicians who came in, laid down the tracks. Like a song like "No Promises" on the album, I played all the instrumentation, which is keyboards and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm playing at least acoustic guitar on all 3 of the other tracks, and some electric. And we had other people that played the percussion, and I played keyboard on all 4.
Okay.
I think there's little parts here and there. And our producer Scott Tice played some parts too. He also played guitar and piano.
Very cool. All right, let's go back to the songwriting process. You know, the Bloodshot we talked about before we played it, and it's a very much an experience type of song. Are all your songs based on your personal experience, or do you sometimes take an idea that just hits you and say, "Hey, this would make a pretty cool idea," even though you didn't live that experience? How does that work for you?
Lyrically, it is pretty personal. It's based personally, usually on something that occurred to me or something occurred to someone really close to me. Mm-hmm. Melody-wise, I just get ideas all the time. Like the other day, we were coming back from Altoona. We had a play an arts festival, and I just got this idea, and I have a little mini recorder. I grabbed it, and I sang like ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da, like that kind of thing. But lyrically, absolutely, it's a pretty personal take on what I see going around me and like the world and the lives and the people that I think I think it's the way I see them. Okay. And it may be inaccurate sometimes, or may be completely spot on.
It's your observation,
right? And sometimes I do, kind of take a little bit of a different role and pretend like I'm someone else. A lot of times it's filtered through me, whatever I saw and put down onto paper.
So there's a part of you in every song, not just lyrically,
absolutely,
not just musically, but lyrically too.
Right, and the weird thing is that people come up and say, "This song helped me through a hard time," or "This song helped me. This song really affected me." So, and I still haven't figured out what that is yet. That when I write something so specific, at least to me, that I guess it's a universal type of feeling or something.
It just shows that as big as the world is, it's still a small place in the sense that we're all experiencing the same things. And I think it's really cool that you can come up with something, you create something that makes people respond.
Yeah, that's all I've ever wanted to do. Just, there was a girl who told me that she cried listening to the one song, and it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know, it was the last thing I was thinking of when I was writing this song, like 3 a.m, and I was sitting on my bed and in some hallway or something. Right.
And then she makes her react like that. And I mean, that's very powerful. And you can say you're doing a job. You're accomplishing your goal of affecting someone. You may not want them to cry, but you want to elicit a feeling. Right. So that's great.
Pull some kind of, like, how when you go to the movies, if you come out of the movie in a different mood than you were when you went in, it usually means it probably was good enough to do so. Like, and when you go see a movie and you're like, that was just awful, and you're just like, why did I spend my, we go see Freddie Got Fingered or something.
Right. I usually have that response when my wife picks out the movies, because we have such opposite tastes. She's a big thinker, and she likes to think about things and analyze things, and I like when I go to a movie, I go for a specific reason. I want the start, I want the middle, I want the end. By the time it ends, I want it all wrapped up in a nice package that I understand, and it either makes me happy or sad or makes me think. My wife loves the endings where you really, really have to analyze and think about what it meant in the beginning of the movie and all that stuff. And we'll go to those movies, and she'll be like, she knows by now, she'll go, "You hated that movie, didn't you?" I'll be like, "Yeah, because it just leaves me hanging." Yeah. And I don't like that. But she loves that. And some people are like that.
Mm-hmm. And even music is like that too. Like, you can look at it, especially lyrically, like there's a lot of analyzation that can go into it, or you could take it for what it is, Right. Like a song like Bloodshot, The Pretty Girl's One Drink Away. I mean, that's for that specific line, that's pretty much that's exactly what it means.
Good.
So,
very cool.
Depends how you take it.
All right, let's talk about the EP. You called it 4 songs. Mm-hmm. Why 4 songs? Just because there's just 4 songs?
Right.
And what's the philosophy behind that?
what I started to notice was bands that I hadn't heard of were coming out with these 16, 17 song records. Now that's fine, but however, if you give that to someone that doesn't know you and doesn't know anything about you, it's a pretty big commitment to get someone to listen to that many songs. So I saw it a lot. I mean, I'm talking like a dozen times. Like bands would say, we'd play a show with someone like, here's our CD, and I'd look at it, and there's 18 songs or 15 songs. Now that's fine. If you sell 1 million records, you could do whatever you want. But when you're trying to get people to know you, I thought 4 songs was just enough commitment to get someone to pay attention, but it didn't really ask too much of them.
Okay.
And I as people say, well, that's not really wasn't creative to call it 4 songs, but it's true. But I did it on purpose because it lets them know, look, there's only 4 songs on this record. It's only going to take you 15 minutes to listen to.
Right.
Play it on your way home from work one day or something.
And it's a good point. You have too many songs, and sometimes people's attention span is not that long.
Exactly. And there's actually one of the biggest bands in the world ever from Pennsylvania had an album called 4 songs. You know what band that was?
No.
That was the band Live out of York.
Oh yes.
Their first EP was called 4 songs, and this was back in like 88 or something.
Right. Okay.
87. That wasn't really like got that idea from them, but then I looked back and I was like, wait a minute, they actually had the same thing. And then that led to Throwing Copper, that album that you couldn't escape, although in a good way. That was a great album.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, very, very cool. Let's go to the next song. It is No Promises. And what we'll do is we'll play the song, and then we'll talk about it when we come back. And I've got some more questions for you too. All right, the song is called No Promises off the EP 4 Songs. And this is Jordan White hanging with us on yourlocalnote.com.
Last night I whispered to myself that the true enemy comes from within. 'Cause I took another chance for your fire, and I think that I've burned myself again. Somewhere Philadelphia, 2003. All you need was oxygen and a little bit of me. Flashback Jersey Shore in 2008. I'm running in the sand, but you're running kinda late. No promises, yeah, no promises at all. I'm waiting for you, waiting for me, waiting for that call. No promises, yeah, no promises at all. You gave me no promises and you kept them all. Forget all that, I just remembered one. The day you said you fell with me, the day without the sun. I'd keep this feeling checked if I just knew what you'd say. To keep you moving on, to keep you on your way. With no promises, yeah, no promises at all. I'm waiting for you, waiting for me, waiting for your call. There's no promises, yeah, no promises at all. You gave me no promises and you kept them all.
song is called No Promises. We're hanging with Jordan White as he talks about his new EP. It's called 4 Songs. All right, talk about No Promises, Jordan. What is that song about?
No Promises is like, the album's a little schizophrenic because the 4th song, No Promises, or the last song on the album at least, it's like a bitter kind of piano ballad. And it didn't really mean it to come out that way, but it just did. And it's basically, the reason it's called No Promises, it's about when you get back together with someone that you've been with before.
Right.
There's really I don't think there's any promises that are really like expected, and maybe no one really deserves them either. I don't know if that's how it is for everyone, but for me, whenever it's been like a reunite with an ex situation,
right?
I know that sounds so cliche to write a song about an ex, right? But it's the truth though. But just to me, like, it seemed like when that type of thing happened, there was never a single promise that was ever kept or made or even given. So I wrote the chorus is, "You gave me no promises, but you kept them all."
Okay.
So it's kind of like explaining to myself, at least, trying to figure out why this happened the way it did, that kind of thing.
Okay.
With this person.
All right. Let's talk about, again, let's go back to the songwriting process, because you did touch on earlier that you write all the lyrics to your songs, but musically you get some help. So do you have, even with the lyrics, or as you're putting this song together, do you have a person you trust that they understand what you're trying to do and you want a different ear? Because sometimes you know how it is. You're working on something, you get too close to it, and you could miss some things, or you could be fixated on something, and a person who just hears it for the first time goes, "No, that sounds great," type of thing. So do you have a person like that?
Oh yeah, like for this specific album, the producer Scotty Tice, he just him himself did that a lot with songs. He would hear a guitar lick and say like, "All right, that's going to be in the song over and over, not just this one part."
Okay.
That kind of thing. And
Sure.
I was down at David Ivory, who works with Atlantic Records, and I played him some new songs, and he was like, "Why don't you change this to this, change this chorus to this chord, or that
right.
to that to this line, or whatever."
Right.
So yeah, absolutely, that happens a lot, and it's good, because you're right, when you get too close to it, it's hard to really get a sense of what it is until someone else listens to it and kind of gives you their impression of what it is.
Okay.
And what could be changed and what could be made better. I played songs for record executives, and they'd be like, you're 85, 90% there. You need to maybe just tweak this a little bit, put this here, maybe make a pre-chorus a little bit more, that kind of thing. So it definitely helps, especially when it's like a friend who's also a musician. That's really cool, because usually that person won't charge you to do it. Because I've been solicited to be like, "Hey, come write songs with me. I've written hits I've sold 2 million records. I'll charge $50 an hour to help you write your songs."
Right.
So it kind of get to that point where you're kind of not sure, but then you have friends who are great musicians, and they come and just do the exact same thing.
So you haven't taken anybody up on, who's charging you?
No, I've never done that. I don't expect to, but people in the bands that I've played in have helped a lot with the music.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that sort of segues into my next question. Have you, you say some of the bands you've played in, so you haven't always been a solo artist?
No, I'm actually, I've been in lots of bands. I've been in cover bands, original bands, all kinds of bands. And kind of like in between what happened, our drummer, the band Kinetic Blue, that's the band I was playing in, his arms hurt for a while, so he can't play for a few months. He just had surgery.
Okay.
So right now, and it came in a bad time over the summer where we have most of our gigs.
Sure.
So right now I'm doing a lot of acoustic shows and duo shows with guitar players and people who just play lead guitar.
Right.
Did accompany me. So yeah, I've been solo here and there, and there's also people in the band that I'm in that are also just their own solo thing too.
Okay, so everyone has their own project,
right?
And then you get together when the band's ready, and that's a different project.
Sure.
How much different is it than your solo stuff?
As far as live performances, it's much easier when it's a band, even though there's more stuff going on,
right?
And there's more things that go wrong. But if I mess up, if I'm playing a song where myself acoustically and I mess up, everyone's going to hear it. If someone messes up in a band, there's like 5 people.
Yeah.
It's diffused a little bit, as long as not everybody turns and looks at the guy who messed up, like in the, because believe me, I've been in meetings before with managers said, hey, look, if somebody messes up, don't everybody look at the guy that messed up.
Right.
So everybody turns and looks at him like, in front of 1,000 people in Ocean
that's
City or
awful.
something.
That's awful.
So it depends. It's easier to play solo, like as far as technically, you plug a guitar and a mic in or piano. But in a band, it's tougher that technically, but it's easier because you don't have to worry about if your errors are covered up by the rest of the band. If as long as it's not really bad, like drop your guitar or something like that.
Sure. So working in a band. So this band, Connect Blue, is what?
Kinetic Blue, right?
Kinetic Blue. Mm-hmm. Are you guys gonna eventually get back together again and do something?
As soon as our drummer Rob Lilly, who's excellent drummer, as soon as his arm is better, it might be another couple of months. He's also in the National Guard, so he gets called away sometimes to go to training camps and so forth. As soon as his arm's better, it's probably a couple months or so.
Okay.
But a lot of these shows between now and then, I'm doing either myself or as a duo with some other people that we've come across.
Let's talk about the show specifically. What do you got coming up in this area, and then what are you going to be doing around? I mean, I'm sure you're touring different places.
Like in June, we'll be all over the place. We'll be in New Jersey, Ocean City, Maryland, down the shore, places like Percy, PA, Quakertown, so forth.
Yeah, Quakertown is close. Where in Quakertown?
Quakertown, that is at the pregame at Quakertown, PA. That's on Route 309, and then that's on June 29th.
Okay, and Percy's out in Berks County. So where are you going to be playing?
That is called Revivals, and I am there on Friday, June 28th.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, I know I'm going backwards.
That's okay.
Friday, June 14th, I'm at Beth Thayer's Tavern in Huntington Valley.
Cool.
I think that's kind of around here somewhere.
Yes, it is.
And then there's a bunch of like Maryland shows, and you can go on the website if you want to see exactly
that, and they can go on our website too, because we're going to have all those shows listed.
Awesome.
Okay, very cool. All right, then let's talk about where people can find your music. What websites? What social media places? Can they follow you on Twitter? All those good things. Just roll it out there.
Okay. First of all, if you just Google my name, Jordan White, you'll get all the stuff. But my actual website is jordanwhitemusic.com. My Facebook is facebook.com/JordanWhiteMusic. Pretty easy. And of course, my name is spelled Jordan. There's a lot of people that spell it wrong.
Okay.
And there's actually a bunch of other musicians with my exact same name, which I still can't figure out. I don't know if that's coincidence or what. I guess it's got to be. And then there's also Twitter. It's twitter.com/JordanFWhite, because somebody snagged Jordan White before I could get it.
Okay.
So you got Jordan F. White, which is my middle initial, Frank, after my father.
All right.
So you could follow me there, and I'll follow you back, I promise, if you follow me.
All right, very cool. And SoundCloud, you're on SoundCloud, you're on any of those sites?
Reverb Nation. MySpace, although I know that's like ancient.
Reverb Nation, we like Reverb Nation.
Yes.
They're a good site. Would that be Jordan White, or is that also, Jordan?
That's reverbnation.com/Jordan White Music.
Okay, Jordan White Music.
Yep.
Okay, very cool. Check it out. Jordan, it's been great hanging with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
No, anytime.
Really
and when you get Kinetic Blue together, and you guys got new music, get back in touch with us, and we'll get you back in.
Awesome.
Okay?
Sounds great.
Very cool. Great. All right, let's talk about the last song that we're going to play. It's actually number 3 on the EP, called 4 songs. It's called Before I Go Out. Let's talk about this song. What is it about? And I see it says it features James Supra.
Yes. James Supra is a very talented harmonica blues player from Lehigh Valley. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Lehigh Valley Music Awards, but he cleaned up last year.
Good.
He won so many awards. He's a great guy. He played harmonica on that track specifically. And if the track specifically, it's kind of a fuse of an acoustic / almost a country flair, tiny bit. Like I said, like the EP itself is kind of schizophrenic, because like the first song is poppy, the second song is kind of darker, and then you have this song Before I Go Out that's kind of like a country-ish little bit. The listeners of course can make up their mind whether or not they agree or not, but to me, at least as country as I can get, it's kind of there. I think, and lyrically, before I go out, it's about just not fitting in. Like, so it's pretty much the main chorus goes, "Would you let me come over again?" And before I go out is kind of like the opposite of that. It might be, I might have overthought it a little bit. But before I go out actually is only mentioned. It's like before I come over again or something like that.
Okay.
It's
so you're sort of overthinking.
I might have overthought the title, yeah, because
no, but even just the premise of the song, you're going to go someplace, but you're not sure if you're going to be welcome there.
Exactly. Yep. So there you go. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I meant.
Okay.
I don't. Finally, now see that helped me. Now I understand exactly what it meant. I'm serious. I'm totally serious. I couldn't figure out what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's perfect.
So
that's exactly what it means.
Just overthinking, and we all do that sometimes. I'm married to a person who overthinks everything. Everything.
Analyzation.
Yes. Oh man, it's unbelievable. So I get that. I'm sure she'll. When I point it out to her and say, "Oh, you'll relate to this song," I'm sure she's going to be pleased with me. But Jordan, thank you so much for hanging with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And
appreciate it.
The EP is called 4 Songs. It's Jordan White. You can find him. Again, your website is jordanwhitemusic.com. Check it out. Check out the EP. It's a lot of fun. It sounds great. And he's a very talented guy. So we'll finish it up with the song Before I Go Out. But I also want to remind you, next week we're going to have a brand new podcast. So check it out. Also, let us know what you think about the podcast and the site. You can email us at contact@yourlocalnote.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/yourlocalnote. And you can always follow us on Twitter, which is at Your Local Note. And don't forget that we are streaming 24/7 on the site, and you get free apps to download. Just search YLN at the respective stores, and you'll be set to go. Okay, wrapping it up here. This is called Before I Go from the EP 4 Songs from Jordan White on yourlocalnote.com.
Thorns and rushes of rose and sorrow. Yesterday got taken out by tomorrow, and I promise tell you something. If you tell the sun not to rise, if you keep my secret, I'll keep your lies. Trouble for the little things we need. When all the rainy days in the shadow bleed, with no separate peace, the branches hang too low. There's somebody caught in the catch you left below. But if the sun don't need me and the shadows just don't please me, would you let me come over again? Would you let me come over again? Gets darker by the mile. Every glance that you pull down. Lean my head against the wheel, lean against the sound, and the pavement hits me hard. All the concrete steps. If my blood was in your veins, tell me where it went. But if the sun don't need me and the shadows just don't please me, would you let me come over again? Would you let me come over again? But if the sun don't need me and the shadows just don't please me, could you let me come over again? Would you let me come over again? When I needed someone, I knew I'd go without. Like the light that burns its brightest, just just before it goes out. But if the sun is only